Hang gliding has been around since the original days of fixed-wing flight. A German engineer by the name of Otto Lilienthal made the first hang gliders. Otto Lilienthal created these aircraft and launched them from hills and various mountains in Germany and controlled them by shifting his weight, just as you do with modern hang gliders. The sport of hang gliding continued but gained little traction until the 1960s, when a NASA engineer by the name of Francis Rogallo designed a flexible wing concept. The original intention was to use the concept on returning Gemini spacecraft after re-entering the atmosphere. The design was never used, but hang glider pilots around the world in the United States and Australia took note of the design and began to incorporate them in forming their own hang gliding clubs. And then modern hang gliding was born. A few years ago, I had the privilege to interview Tiki Mashy, a world champion hang glider pilot, on my show The Knowledge Parlor, which was hosted on Blog Talk Radio. The following is a snippet of that interview.
So, I guess the first question is, what enticed Tiki Mashy to start hang gliding?
Well, that would have started a long time ago. I started hang gliding right after my 19th birthday, and I started because I've always dreamed of flying. Oh, my whole life I've always dreamed about flying, but it's never been flying like flying in a hang glider. I've always been kind of just a person who just would fly without wings, and I'd take off from the ground. As a matter of fact, my favorite TV show of all time when I was younger was The Flying Nine. Alex Field and The Flying Nine.
Wow.
And so that was fantastic, and that's what I always wanted to be, The Flying Nine.
Wow. No. Yeah, that's, wow.
Yeah, so when I got an opportunity to go flying and to actually do it, after I moved out of my parents' house, I saw hang gliding one day on the beach in Los Angeles, and I went, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to do. It's so close to the Flying Nun that.
Right.
So,
Wow. So
it's always been a dream of mine.
It's kind of like just a childhood dream that just kind of dawned upon you during the trip. I guess you can say, like they say, the ancestors come to you and just say, "Oh man," just snapping, and so you say, "Okay, I think I want to get into this."
That's exactly right. There was no way I wasn't going to get into it. When I was living at home, I'd pass a car that had hang gliders on, and I thought, oh my gosh, look at hang gliders. I hadn't thought about that kind of flying. And my brother said, no way, you're not hang gliding. And I thought, oh, okay. So then I moved out of my parents' house, and lo and behold, the first month I was hang gliding. So.
Wow, and the rest is history, right?
The rest is history, yeah. A long time.
What's it like up there when you're what's the Bunny Hill experience like?
The Bunny Hill experience is what we call paying your dues, and it can be so fun because it's just if you always wanted to fly, running down this little hill, and as you're running, your feet get lighter and lighter and lighter, and all of a sudden you're off the ground and you're flying, and then you settle back to the earth again. After a few seconds, though it's only a couple of seconds in the air. It's just a dream come true for a lot of people, and it was for me when I first learned to fly. So the Bunny Hill is a great experience, and then you move up to different levels, and there are different ways to learn to fly. So the Bunny Hill is one, and what we have another form is called aero towing, where you tow up behind a light sport aircraft. So if you don't
how long do you typically spend running on Bunny Hills?
It really depends on the person, but it will take anywhere from probably about 10 lessons at the bunny hill, 10, 15 lessons at the bunny hill before you're ready to go to the next level.
I see. And the next level is arrow toe.
No, the next level would just be a higher hill. If you're gonna see, there's two ways to learn to fly. You can learn to fly by learning to go up and down hills, or you can learn to fly by arrow towing. Arrow towing is you can more equate with how you learn to fly in general aviation. You go up with the instructor in a two-place glider, a hang glider, and you learn to fly the glider up high first. You learn to launch on wheels. You learn to land on wheels, and then you learn to fly it. Then you learn to launch and land on wheels, and so that's arrow towing. And then the bunny hill, the learning to fly in mountains. You have to cart the glider right back up that hill. So that's paying your dues. So that's a fun experience.
So do you have to do a lot of running when you're doing the bunny hill exercise?
You do. You have to kind of be in pretty good shape. Well, relatively good shape when you're doing the bunny hills. You don't have to be any kind of marathon runner or anything, but you have to realize that you're carrying the this 50-pound glider back up the hill on your back, and though it's not the weight. It can be a little bit cumbersome, though, but your instructor will show you the right way to carry it up, so it's easy. So yeah, the bunny hills are great. That's a great way to learn to fly.
What are some common mistakes that people make when they're doing the bunny hill training?
The biggest I don't know if it's called a mistake so much, but the biggest drawback is that people tend to not relax. If you can just relax and let the glider, because the glider already knows how to fly, and what we're trying to do is teach you to fly. So if you can just learn to just relax and take in, what the glider is doing, feeling, and listen to your instructor, you'd be leaps and bounds ahead of everybody if you can just learn to relax on the first day and just let the glider fly.
So the key is relax. Let the glider fly.
Right.
So let the glider do the work. Basically, get the running and get the airflow going under the glider, and just kind of do it over and over again until you get good at it, right?
Exactly, repetition. That's exactly right. You just keep going up and down that hill, and you keep doing the same thing, and then you slowly learn what your inputs are doing in order to correct the track of the glider. So, if you want to turn left, you move your weight left. If you want to turn right, you move your weight right. If you want to speed up, you pull in. If you want to slow down a little bit, you push out. But, all of that is very subtle into, very small movements. And when people aren't relaxed, they tend to grip the bar really tight, and you can't feel what's going on. And you can't make those subtle movements. So yeah, it's just a matter of, like you say, repetition.
That's cool. So let's talk about the arrow tow a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about how a light sport aircraft, like when you say light sport aircraft, that's a pretty broad category. What kind of airplanes would you typically see?
The typical airplane you see is called a Moyes-Bailey Dragonfly. It was built by a guy named Bobby Bailey, and it was specifically designed for towing up hang gliders. It's a great aircraft. It's a 3-axis aircraft, and it's really great because it slows down enough so that you can tow a hang glider. Because hang gliders fly at such slow speeds, relatively slow speeds. I mean, anywhere from, stall speed would be maybe around 18 miles an hour. So, you're flying at maybe about 21, 22, maybe 23 miles an hour up to, the higher performing gliders might be flying at, 40 miles an hour. But still, those are relatively slow speeds for an aircraft. So this Moyes-Bailey Dragonfly was specifically built so that it can fly that slow. It can fly at 20 miles an hour and still climb with the glider at a good climb rate. So, yeah, that was a great thing when Bobby Bailey invented that some 20 years ago, and now it's fallen under the because it's what they call a fat ultralight. It's fallen under the category of light sport aircraft. So yeah, you need a light sport aircraft or a private pilot's license in order to fly it.